well. Let's welcome in Mayuresh Joshi into the conversation as well. We'll have Mr. Tulsian joining in shortly. Mayuresh, let's get your sense on this market. It's continuing its charge towards that 9,000 mark, and then it's running into a couple of very important events. How do you look at the next few sessions?
Afternoon, Surbi. Again, I think it's going to be extremely volatile, and again, depending on the outcome of what we see in terms of the exit polls, if the market expects what the street is likely to forecast a strong win, again, I think that's going to be very, very useful in terms of how the markets will react. So again, I think you're seeing volatility in anticipation of what might or might not happen, but largely, again, Q4, I think the earnings are going to be again on the softer side, considering that remonetization is still picking up steam. So largely, again, I think considering the two key events ahead of us, I think specifically the state elections, I think they'll hold key in the way markets react. If the markets, if the NDA government does come in absolute majority, I think the markets will react very, very positively even from the current levels.
Okay, well, some news sources to Cogensis on Eicher Motors. They've hiked their Royal Enfield prices by 2 to 3%. I don't think that's going to make a difference to demand at all, because they do have solid pricing power and more than 90% market share within that segment itself. So there you have it, a hike in Royal Enfield prices. This will, of course, help them as far as passing on the higher raw material costs goes to the to their customers. This was bound to happen, really. There was a big surge in raw material costs over the last 3 to 4 months. But let's get some more guests on board. Mr. S.P. Tulsian also joins in, and before that, Prakash Gaba is with us to give us some closing strategies as well. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the show. Mr. Tulsian, I want to start with you because the stock of the day undoubtedly once again is Reliance Industries. It's crossed 1300 and huge volumes being traded as we speak, almost 1.5 crore shares on the bourses. Do you see more upsides for Reliance, and what seems to be the trigger now? Is it still telecom, or is there something else?
See, Sonia, definitely the positive bias seen continuing in Reliance Industries, and I don't think that except for Reliance Jio, the re-rating or the surge in the valuations which we have seen in the share price has happened only because of Reliance Jio. I don't see any reason for the refinery or petchem segment contributing so much to the valuations of the company. But if you recall, maybe last week, in fact, I was keeping a price target of about 1250, and honestly, I did not expect that it will go beyond that, because 4 lakh crore was the market cap at that point of time. But now, since it has breached 1300 rupees level, definitely the market is seen to be quite enthused. Now there are, the company has indicated that for 21-22 the market share which they can capture will be about closer to about 50%, and if you have, and they have indicated some 22 billion as the top line, and if I take 50% of that, definitely the section is divided on the expected profitability of Reliance Jio. So taking all this into consideration, honestly, as I said, that probably I was not expecting the stock to move beyond 1250, but now it has moved to 1300. Definitely the re-rating seemed to be continuing in the share price because of the buying seen from the funds and all that. So maybe those who are holding the stock remain invested in the stock, but going forward, I won't be taking a call, because when the share was ruling at 1170, 1180, I gave a target of 1250 and said that buy only for those levels and even look to exit at 1250. But those who are holding it, probably they may continue to hold the stock, because as long as the buying continues and you don't see any kind of negative scene coming in, this stock is not likely to underperform at least. And maybe ahead of expiry, after a couple of weeks, we may again take a review in the pricing call. If it moves beyond 1350, 1360, then probably that could be taken as a profit booking level. But as of now, the positive momentum continues in the stock.
Mitesh, comment on this. I mean, it's been a dream move from 1000 near. It's almost a unilateral one-way move that we're talking about. What next after 1300? How are you looking at trading it, and I mean, what are the levels to keep in mind?
See, I think after 1250 has been difficult for me to actually give a trade over here, because extremely overbought. Though on the longer term charts, I do believe that 1600 plus and then eventually 2000 could happen, because it's broken out of a 7 to 8 year old kind of consolidation, and typically that should produce a movement for 6 to 8 quarters. Having said that, I think traders now should wait for a pullback. I think logically, even in strongest of the bull markets, you will see stocks take breathers some point in time, and you will see them come back to about 20-day average to about 50-day average. I think that's the time to buy into this one. But definitely, I think there should be a good portfolio bet. Even from trading point of view, any pullbacks would be an excellent buying opportunity.
Okay, well, Prakash Gaba will also give us his closing strategies now. Prakash, good going for the market so far. What are you looking at?
Well, yes, I would say that market has seen the high. I had said in the morning 8970 is the targets achieved there. So far looks okay to me. I think these are dips are buying opportunities for one more swing up for tomorrow morning. So I would say yes, two stocks look good to me. Lupin is stock that looks nice, can climb to levels closer to 1490 zones, stop below 1472. I also like JSW Energy, that looks good, can climb to levels closer to 66, stop below 62.
Okay, we should just keep the context in mind today because India is a rank outperformer compared to a lot of global markets today, particularly the developed markets. So in the morning it was Japan which was underperforming, some geopolitical issues out there from North Korea, missiles being launched, etc. But right now this afternoon is all about Europe and the manner in which those markets are dragging their fate. Take a look at that. So compared to this, I guess, Sonia, it's turning out to be an even better afternoon for the bulls out here.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, even within the Asian markets too, our markets are doing much better than what many of the Asian peers have suggested. Perhaps the people are just being extremely bullish about the election results. Now the results will come out on the 9th, right?
The exit polls will come out.
The exit polls will be on the 9th and the final results will be later. So I guess from the exit polls itself, people will sort of make a conclusion as to what the eventual result will be. But let's do one thing. Let's take a break on that note. Our closing bell money control question of the day is on the DMart IPO. Yes, we have so much action in the primary markets. The DMart IPO opens this week. Will you subscribe to it? Log on to moneycontrol.com and post your responses there, and we will read out some of the most interesting ones post 3:30 p.m.
And after the break, a CNBC TV 18 exclusive from Reliance Mutual Fund Day, the biggest experts and their outlook on the market. We'll get you that, so stay tuned. Welcome back. Still holding on to gains of about 0.5% on the index, and the mid-cap index is actually now picking up momentum. For most of the day, mid-caps were slightly underperforming, and now they're playing a bit of a catch-up game. So let's see, it promises to be an interesting last 45 odd minutes of trade. Speaking of mid-caps, just some of the names that perhaps deserve a mention this afternoon. We've had good gains on the likes of Motilal. We mentioned that at the outset. A couple of fresh names also coming in. Welspun Corp, Prime Focus. These are some of the big movers and shakers on the upside. And of course, something like Kolte, Patil and a Peninsula, as we mentioned, from the real estate space. In fact, maybe we can pull up some of the ADAG group stocks as well, because the last 1 hour, they've seen a fresh bout of momentum. So the likes of Reliance Capital, Reliance Infra, they deserve a bit of a mention. And even a Voltas. Voltas actually did a good move in the last half an hour. I checked it about half an hour back, and it was surging towards the high point of the day. Caught up with the management, and they seem to be quite bullish on their AC sales ahead of the summer. All right, let's get back to the market conversation. Mayuresh, talking about the mid-caps particularly, because last week there were a couple of these scare days when we had a lot of profit booking in the mid-cap universe. How are you looking at the space, and any particular picks that you might have?
Again, Surabhi, I think it has to be a stock-specific approach within the mid-cap universe. The run-up has been pretty sharp, and if one takes into cognizance the events that are lined up, I think a staggered way of doing mid-caps is the way I would put it forth. Again, I think the stocks that we're probably liking at this time, again, you mentioned Voltas. I think a competitor of that, Blue Star, is something that I'm liking on declines. If it corrects from the current levels, I think it'll become a good entry point. The room air conditioning market is pretty underpenetrated in India, and again, I think if you look at the kind of split in terms of the AC sales, the room air conditioning sales for Blue Star specifically, it's almost 47% of the overall product portfolio. Secondly, I think the market share has increased to 10.5–11%. So we're expecting NIMs or margins to expand quite significantly at around 7.5%. The earnings growth can be very, very sharp over the next 2 years in excess of 30–35%, and the top line growth can be in excess of 16–18%. So Blue Star on declines is something I'm liking. From the mid-cap cement space, JK Lakshmi has posted a very good set of numbers in the quarter gone by. Again, if one looks at the power and fuel cost element of JK Lakshmi Cement, with a lot of captive power in use and savings happening with the split grinding unit taking place both at its Durg facility as well as the expected commissioning happening of 0.6 MT at Odisha, my own sense is that the savings on this front can be substantial. It can have a huge say in terms of how the EBITDA per ton pans out for JK Lakshmi Cement. So even on a valuation perspective, on the installed capacity of FID of almost 11.4 plus the 1.6 MT of the subsidiary capacity on 13 MT, I think it's trading at less than $95 on an EV to ton parameter. So I think that is one interesting stock that I'm liking. And from the auto ancillary universe, I think Bharat Forge has done extremely well. I think continue to have a hold on that one. But Amara Raja Batteries is something we'll continue to prefer. It's underperformed Exide in a substantial manner. But going forward, my own take is the kind of top line growth that can get exhibited by Amara Raja of almost 18 to 20% can be exhibited in its numbers. The EBITDA margins were a little bit soft because of the rise in lead prices that we've seen. But again, I think passing on these prices over the next few months will probably ensure that the margins are stabilized. And the earnings growth again can be in excess of 20-21 odd %. So from a valuation perspective, trades almost 21.25 times FY18 and looks very, very attractive. So any decline on this stock also becomes a very good buying opportunity.
Okay, well, the other stock that's been surging today is Bombay Burma. So we should take a look at the intraday chart there. These holding companies have been doing very well. And in the last 3 months, Bombay Burma has actually rallied about 60%. So it's had a phenomenal run. I'm going to go to Mr. Tulsian and ask him about this stock because he has tracked these holding companies very closely in the past. But before that, since it's Monday, let's try and brighten up our Monday afternoon with the mid-cap mania. Nigel joins us as always to tell us what's on his radar today. Nigel, take it away.
Well, Sonia, today I'm tracking this glass company. It's known as Halden Glass, in fact, and it makes products for a whole host of sectors, for the liquor space, for the cosmetics, as well as food and beverages. So they're into making these bottles. What is the total capacity? It's roughly around 350 tons on a per day basis. They have 2 glass furnaces. That's 2 glass melting furnaces. When you get a glass in liquid format, then in fact you can make quality containers, and they have a capacity of around 1.5 million quality containers on a day-to-day basis. I was looking at the dynamics of the industry, and in fact 30% is from the unorganized space. So that's giving you, some kind of an opportunity in case GST is implemented. The organized guys could get more business. Moving on then, who are the big clients? United Spirits, that's up there. Pernod as well is in there. And we have the other clients like the likes of Dabur, ADF Foods, as well. Normally, when we cover in this segment, we look at a lot of fundamentals of companies, and very often I track companies that have given you very good CAGR over the last few years. Well, this is the opposite. If you take a look at the revenues, they have only been declining. The profitability has been declining. Even in fact, the operating profit hasn't been great. But the first 9 months of this year, well, it's been splendid. In fact, if you take a look at it, top line growth of more than 30%, the operating profit has doubled on a year-on-year basis in the first 9 months of the year. And the net profit they've done, as per 9 months, is close to around 10 crores. So fairly good. And I was taking a look at the operational performance as well on a quarterly basis. Fantastic. It's looking quite good. The last quarter, in fact, looked very, very good. So first up, the revenues. Last quarter, it was nearly around 50 crores. Normally, they've been doing 30 to around 40 crores. So let's see whether they can keep up that kind of a run rate. And in the last quarter, they did a net profit of around 5 crores. So let's see whether or not they can do that as well. But what was particularly encouraging was take a look at the operating margins as well. That has improved. And in fact, that looked very good in the last quarter. So we even saw their margins go down to single digits. And the last quarter, it's more than 21%. Let's see whether or not they can keep up this kind of margins. Also, I was looking at the power to sales ratio. And that, in fact, has really moved favorably for the company. So I was trying to Google and trying to understand. They have some part of their power requirement that they get from gas. So I had a word with a couple of people from the management itself. And what they said was that 50% is via gas. So 50% of the power requirement is met via gas. And we know that gas prices have been following. So that's something as well that has helped them. Remember, the company is a net cash company, so they have zero debt as well. Moving on, what could be the next trigger? They have a joint venture with Haynes Glass. That's a German company. It's a 50-50 joint venture. This was entered in June 2015 itself. Now, that's likely to be commissioned in the 4th quarter. That's maybe in this month or maybe in the past couple of months or so. What really will be coming out of this particular JV that they have? They'll be focusing on perfumes as well as cosmetics, and they'll be focusing more on the export market. Currently, they're more domestic oriented as well. So it's clearly mentioned in the audit report that they're going to be looking at starting commercial production in this 4th quarter. So this is going to be quite interesting. And FY18 then, becomes even more encouraging. The shareholding pattern as well should come up for you on the screen. Let's get that up for you. The promoter stake is at around 52%, but only around 9,000 individuals hold close to around 29% stake in the company, and some few corporate bodies hold roughly around 8.5%. So it's a very tightly held company as well. What could be the drawbacks? Well, threats of substitutes, that's one of them. Second factor could be pricing power. I was speaking to a couple of their users and they said prices haven't really moved up in the last 1 year or so. So pricing power could be one of those factors. And what if the power and fuel costs spike? Then their entire operational performance that we're talking about, that goes out of the window as well. But even in tough times, they have been paying good dividends. So you have to give it to the company. Even last year, they did an EPS of around 1 rupee 20 paise, and yet they paid out close to around 50 paise. Interesting company. Let's see where it goes from here. Big trigger really will be what can come out of the joint venture they have with Heinz. Back to both of you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that, Nigel. So that's today's Midcap Mania. On that note, let's quickly welcome in Sandeep Wagle, who's joining in. Sandeep, market call and trading ideas?
Afternoon, Surbhi. I am bullish. I think we will see 9,000 levels very, very soon. Higher than those levels. Stock specific, a buy in a Reliance Capital, stop loss 535, target 558. A buy in a Ashok Leyland, stop loss 88, target 99, and a sell in a UPL, stop loss 690, target 660.
Thanks a lot for that, Sandeep. Well, let's get back to some fundamental calls now. Mr. Tulsian, I wanted to check with you on Bombay Burma, because we've spoken about this stock several times in the past, but now it's up 60% over the last 3 months. You think some of these holding companies still offer value, or that bus has been missed?
Sonia, in fact, if you take a call, I think there are about 30 to 40 these investment companies kind of things are available. But the only problem, where the discount varies from as low as high as 60, maybe about 70% to about 30%. That means they are ruling at an NAV of about maybe 30% to 70%. But the problem is that we are not going to see the stakes which are held by these investment companies to get monetized, because the entire stake which they are holding is largely into the promoter group companies. If you take a call on the Bombay Burma also, they have the stake promoters holding of Britannia, controlled by the Wadias through this company. So market is definitely, the stock has risen very much in this past about 1 year or so, because if you take on the investments call on the Kalyani Group company, RPG, maybe Sanjeev Goenka Group company, and Harsh Goenka Group company, as well as on many other investment companies like Jindal Group companies and all that, they have shown this kind of up move. But I don't think that the things will really go on in a very exciting way going forward, except for the Bombay Burma, which has a discount of as high as about 70 to 75% on the NAV, the stocks which they are holding, which is also showing a lot of volatility, or maybe you can call it as a high beta stock. So I won't be too enthused to take these shares in a very big quantity. Maybe a few stocks in the few smaller quantity can be held on for the long term purposes, but not otherwise. Yeah.
Okay, let's just pull up the intraday graph of Tata Steel because of the flashes that you're seeing on your screens. It's been a bit of an underperformer today, but nevertheless, the fact that the company is acknowledging openly that it is engaged in discussions with Centrup, something that's been widely reported, we've been telling you this for several months now, that seemed to cause a little bit of a flutter, but then sellers came back in, and now we've seen it dip back into negative territory. Mitesh, quickly, Tata Steel, is there a trade here given the dream run?
I think it's kind of slightly come up from the day's high, but I don't think we are still in for some kind of a reversal. If it breaks 490, maybe then we'll have some more correction, a bigger pullback to about levels of 475. That should be the very small trade of playing a pullback on the downside. So if it breaks 490, short with a stop at 495, half 496, and look for 475 or thereabouts to cover your position.
Let's do one thing now. Let's bring you some highlights from the special presentation by CNBC TV18 and Reliance Mutual Fund, Mission Prosperity. Remember, this is our initiative to increase investor awareness about mutual funds, and we had some of the best and brightest minds from Dalal Street talk about investments, share their ideas for becoming a better investor, and what they've done wrong as well in their entire career. Let's have a look at that. We'll take a break and be back.
The two biggest things is staying with your conviction and accepting that you're wrong, which means actually eliminating your mistakes quickly, taking your losses quickly, and the ability to ride with your conviction, not just 1 year, 2 years. If you see the returns these people have made, the power of compounding comes in by definition when you are invested for multiple years. And to underscore that point, Warren Buffett, who's what 65 odd $billion today was actually $1 billion when he was 53 or 54. So the power of compounding from 53 to 85, and in a private conversation he's actually said that all that he did after that was eliminate the, in a sense, the foibles of youth, if you will. The mistakes that you make as a youth got eliminated when he was 50 plus.
But what are those mistakes?
Exactly things like this, the temptation to stay with, the most difficult thing is to take your loss and get out and say, I made a mistake in an investment.
People stay invested with their loss-making investments, and they book profits. When a stock goes up 10%. In your experience, what should be the holding period? I remember I was having a conversation with you. You said 10 baggers don't interest you anymore. You are now looking at 50 and 100 baggers.
Well, I was always looking at those, but not that I've made too many of them. But just on the point that Jake's mentioned, I'd like to summarize it in one line. It's about time, not timing. So a lot of investors get too caught up with timing. Ye bottom aa raha hai, pakad lete isko. But that is, very hard to do. Just spend time in the market and everything gets taken care of. In fact, it also forgives you for some of the mistakes you make. My own experience is actually the mistakes, fall by the wayside because the winners are so massive in size that the mistakes look very small in hindsight. So if you're not even in a position to detect that, it's still not a problem, but you have to spend time. And time, I think, is not about 1 year, 2 years, it's multiple periods of 5, 7, 10, 15, 20. I like to believe it's like your whole life career. So you start investing when you get a job, say at 25, and then you invest all the way till you're 60 and then enjoy fruits.
You say, and that's your favorite line these days, investors should ask कितना लेना है और कितने time के लिए लेना है. From your personal experience, one stock that you thought you should have bought more and should have invested longer. Your personal experience.
दुखती नस पे हाथ रख दिया यार. There are so many of them. So when we bought Siemens, for instance, we were very early. We bought Jindal Steel and Power in 2002-03. These companies were not even heard of. So we bought Jindal Steel and Power when the market cap was 300 crores. And at the peak, the market cap went to 70,000 crores. We bought Divi's Lab when the market cap was 140 crores at the beginning of IPO. At the peak, it went to 40,000 crores. I think if you ask me, you ask the mistake to someone, the only regret which I have looking back is I wish I did not discover many new stocks. And I just kept on buying what we discovered in that time. I think we would have made a Guinness Book of World Record if we had stuck to our investments, what we identify very early on.
Ramdev, so is this a roaring bull market now? Every correction is getting lapped. I was having a conversation with Rhythm. I said, is 50,000 likely? He asked me, are you talking Sensex or Nifty? So from here on...
Combined.
Or combined, wow. So, I mean, what are we talking about in terms of a bull market? Do you see much higher all-time highs now from here on?
I think bothering about a bull run or mega bull run, which were used to 92, 2000, 85, 92, 2000, 2007. So I've seen 4 of them. And a lot of money is made at this point of time. But a lot of, as you were saying, that 2007 people who come in, a lot of people have bad experience because ultimately they get in at the right close to the peak of the market. So better that the bull market, like this kind of mad bull market, doesn't come. We have a nice warm market what we have today, and let the market move 12%, 13%, some correction, again moves 15, 20%. I think that's much better for the economy, for the investors, for everybody. But the nature of the thing is very different. It will happen, and it will be much bigger. This time, whenever it happens, maybe 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, it will be much bigger.
letting up really of the rally. So now the Sensex is up more than 200 points and the Nifty as well is at 89.58. So it's conquering all these levels with a lot of ease. And now the Bank Nifty is also at the high point of trade currently. Look at that surge that we've seen just in the last 5 minutes or so. Let's find out what strategies you should be executing at this point. Prakash Gaba and Mitesh Thakkar are with us to tell you what to buy or sell today for a reverse trade tomorrow. Prakash, let me start with you. Any fresh stocks on your list?
Yes, I think I like Oil India. That certainly looks good to me. It's buy today, sell tomorrow. Stop below 336. Target is around 343 plus zones. I also like Strides, Shashun Strides, and can climb to levels close to around 1185 zones. Stop below 1157.
Mitesh, BTST trades?
So I have two buy calls as well. I think first one is buy on Tata Communication with a stop at 749.5 for targets of 772. That's more of a BTST call. And a one today call would be a buy on Reliance Industrial Infra, buy with a stop at 458 for targets of 500.
Thanks a lot for that. Well, Tata Motors is the other one that's surging now. So 2% higher on Tata Motors. In fact, it is... After Reliance, it's actually the top Nifty gainer. So 2.2% higher, back at that 470 mark. Let's get an insight into the dealing room chatter. Nimesh Shah is here with Trader Talk. Nimesh, afternoon, it seems like the market is really pricing in, a BJP win in the UP elections and a lot of positives, etc. Because there's a big outperformance coming in from our markets compared to its global peers. But what are the dealers talking about?
Yes, so clearly, so now that's something which is pretty much priced in. So if they, in fact there is a bit of a disappointment, you can say a bit of a sharp cut down. So that's something to watch out for. But that's still 4 or 5 days away. So one needs to be little cognizant of the fact that the UP election outcome will be only over this weekend. Having said that, today's rally is largely led by the large cap names. So it's all done by heavyweights like Reliance, ITC, Tata Motors in the last 1 hour. They all are buzzing in trade and actually lifting the Nifty to the high point. But having said that, even after such a big outperformance by the Reliance and some of the large cap names, the Nifty is still finding resistance at around that 8950, 9000 level mark. So clearly, that's something to watch out for. That in the next few days, it's likely to be sideways. Given that there are a couple of big events to watch out for: the UP elections end of this week, and next week the Fed meet. So these are the two things which has been largely talked about. Even in the mid cap and small cap, there is this periodic outperformance happening in the select mid caps and small cap. But it's not like the momentum is of course on the upside. Having said that the UP election outcome is pretty much priced in that it will be a BJP victory or a favorable BJP victory, so to speak. But largely the sense is it's a bit of caution out there. Sideways move on the Nifty and barring some of the large cap names, and it looks like that's going to be the trend at least for the next few days, and selective mid cap outperformance. But I guess you need a big trigger from here for a big breakout on the Nifty and on the Bank Nifty. So that's something to be watch out for. But clearly today's rally is led by large caps like the likes of Reliance, ITC and Tata Motors.
Absolutely, Nimesh. Thanks so much for that. And yeah, adding to the Nifty Bank, listen, State Bank of India, last couple of minutes have been so powerful and so strong on that stock. But as Nimesh was saying, it's a day of pretty good performance from the mid cap and the small cap universe as well. So let's go across to Varinder for the list of all the buzzers today. Varinder?
Well, some of the new names which I'm picking up today are names like Mangal Credited FinCorp, Coral India Finance and Housing, Riga Sugar, Unique Organics, VCU Data Management, Cosmo Ferritus. Some other small cap gainers, huge volume students, some of them. Look at Ajanta Soya up 20%, Kanpur Plastic Packs, Filatex India, Celebrity Fashions, Vista Pharma gaining nearly 35% the last 2 days, Govind Rubber, Kerala Ayurveda, Isun Reroll, Medicaps, Gokul Agro, ADF Foods, Royal Orchid, Jensen and Nicholson hitting circuit on good volumes. Tenfec, which is Aditya Birla Group company, Simplex Projects, Thiru Arunan and Sugar Company, Mohit Industries, Dynamic Industries and Shilp Gravures. Some other mid-cap gainers, look at Dredging Corporation, of course news-based, BBTC or Bombay Burma, which is up 15%, Motilal Oswal hitting the 10,000 crore market cap today, Kolte Patil, Dhampur Sugar, V-Guard, V-Mart Retail, HSIL, Indocount. Some of the stock you should keep an eye on. Bharat Financial, clearly that would be one of the most important stocks when markets open tomorrow, because the management is having a con call in the evening at around 5:30. So watch out for that. Coal India on back of dividend announcement will come post markets, and some of the stocks like Hindustan Zinc, based on how zinc prices are doing in the evening, currently down nearly 2.5%, will be important to watch out for on how the stock movement shapes up in the morning.
Thanks a lot for that. So the market is definitely at the high point of trade and the Sensex is surging now. Lawrence Belanco of CLSA, who we spoke to earlier in the morning, indicated that this market uptrend is very much intact. In fact, he says that once the Nifty breaks above the all-time highs, then he believes that 10,300 is on the cards for the Nifty. That's the next level to watch. Listen in to what he has to say.
The momentum indicators that we're looking at on a daily basis overbought. I think it is only a short-term hesitation rather than a major reversal. So the broader uptrend that we've seen unfold of the December lows should remain intact for the Nifty. We ultimately believe that this 9,000 area, we will break through that, make new all-time highs. December 2016 lows would be the critical support zone for this uptrend. Do you think further gains will be made post this short-term pause, with 10,300 being our first upside objective? I think in the near term, that's a sector I'd be taking profits in. A number of our indicators are showing that, particularly in steel, iron ore and the coal side, is that the momentum indicators are lagging behind price action. And that's typically a sign that the uptrend is maturing. So I would essentially look at taking profits on the metal side.
What an afternoon it's turning out to be, completely belonging to the bulls. They're telling you who's in charge, at least right now. So while we're looking at pretty much the day's high on the headline index, the mid-caps are not to be left behind whatsoever. And new names are now bursting on the horizon. So take a look at something like perhaps a Dishman Pharma. A big surge on that stock underway. Something like a TTK Prestige. And sugar largely has seen some interesting trades, but now we're getting a big move on Dhampur. In fact, a double-digit move on Dhampur. We're talking about a almost 10-11% surge on the stock in the last couple of minutes. So lots of mid-cap action this Monday afternoon. All right, we have Rajesh Kothari also joining into the conversation. Of course, Mayuresh, Prakash, Mr. Tulsian and Mitesh continue to be with us. So, Rajesh, let me get your first thoughts in on this phenomenal rally that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. Is the market setting itself up for perhaps a bit of a risk, or perhaps a bit of a disappointment and correction course if things don't go according to the plans come the 11th?
I think what is important is the entire world. If you look at USA, whether you look at Eurozone or whether you look at China, these all three major regions are reporting the better consumer price growth. So if you look at CPI, inflation, I think we are running at almost a 3 years high. Which is definitely a good news from the world economic perspective, because the moderate inflation growth brings back the better nominal GDP growth, and therefore hopefully higher revenue growth and higher profit growth. So I think the entire world equity markets are moving up, and therefore India is also is a part of world economy moving up. So it is just not an India story. I think it is broadly it is a global equity market as a story. Number one. Number two, in last 2 years, if you see, then market has actually not done much. Probably it is just up about 2 to 3% in last 2 years. But of course, if you see from December end to now, then you would see about 12 to 15% up. So I think the 11th March outcome, what you've been asking, definitely it will add some volatility, to the entire market. If the result is significantly against the ruling government, then yes, there can be a small correction. But any correction, I would say use it as an opportunity and load to equity as an asset class.
Okay, well, that is an exclusive piece of news that you're getting on your screen. With regards to Lupin, we understand that Lupin is holding discussions with Zentiva, which is the generics arm of the French drug maker Sanofi, to acquire their inhalation brand called Pulmojet. Now, a senior investment banking executive has told CNBC TV18 that Lupin is interested in Pulmojet as it prepares to sharpen its focus in the specialty products business. So this is the details that we are picking up from Bikash Dandekar. So let's go straight across to him to find out more about that. Bikash, over to you.
So what we understand is Lupin has been discussing acquiring this brand for a couple of months now. The discussions have reached some kind of a finalization stage. We don't know the value or the other specifics of the deal, but what it will do to Lupin is to sharpen its focus on specialty brands. Most of the Indian companies have been looking at specialty segments because the generics pipeline will not be able to get them the right growth. 17, 18, 19% is what they have been growing in the last decade or so. So most of the companies have moved into growing their specialty brands. Lupin itself has been pumping in a lot of funds to grow its inhalation business, kind of targeting about $18 billion, of market size over the next 3 or 4 years. So this particular brand will also play a role in how Lupin wants to shape its inhalation business.
All right, thanks Vikas so much for getting us that exclusive insight into what potentially could be an interesting acquisition from Lupin's standpoint. Mr. Tulsian, you want to comment on this? How do you rate the company, its performance, and whether there's any more mileage on the stock?
See, Surabhi, in fact, this stock has been a non-performer. If you see the behavior of maybe about last 8 to, or I would say of last 1 year, this is seen to be the maybe peaking at on all the front, maybe in their financial in terms of the share price, in spite of the good financial performance having seen. In fact, there have been in the past some kind of positive indications seen coming in on US FDA front for their Goa plant, but even those things have not worked. So it seems that probably the shift has happened from this company, which used to be the favorite of the funds and few HNIs and all that, to other pharma stocks. So I'm keeping a neutral stance in spite of this acquisition news seen coming in for the company. Yeah.
Okay, well, despite the fact that the IT stocks are not performing today, it's the rest of the market that's really surging ahead. So IT is the only sore thumb, but the other parts of the market doing very well. Now you have some auto names. Tata Motors we spoke about, Bajaj Auto has started to move up, and so is Hero MotoCorp, all up about 1.5 to 2% Rajesh, from the auto space that you track closely, auto ancillaries is a space that you like. Within that, what are your views on Bharat Forge now after the surge that it has seen? It's now, less than 15-20% away from its all-time highs. You see it getting there soon?
I think Indian auto ancillary is a very exciting space. As the world economic growth is improving further, I think the couple of things what Indian auto ancillary companies have done, particularly in the big companies like Bharat Forge and Motherson Sumi, is the content per vehicle is improving. If you see last 2 to 3 years, of course it has been constantly improving, but the significant growth has happened either because of inorganic growth strategy of Motherson Sumi or the constant efforts by Bharat Forge to enter into the new segment. So if you look at a company like Bharat Forge, not only auto, but if you look at its non-auto revenue, the growth has been really very, very robust, whether it is a India business as well as the export business. So I think we continue to like the story. We believe that there is a significant opportunity to further increase the content per vehicle by these leading players like Bharat Forge, and probably the potential is almost twice or maybe more than that, 2 to 3 times from where right now they are in terms of catering to that particular size of market. So I think over next 2 to 3 years, these companies are really very, very well positioned, and adding to the US growth will definitely further fuel all the engines on fire. So I think we remain positive.
Okay, I just heard some updates there on Fortis Healthcare, as the ticker was just alerting us. It was coming in from the Delhi High Court because there was this ongoing hearing of Daiichi seeking to restrain the Singh brothers from selling anything in the company. Daiichi's own allegations, of course, coming in about due diligence or proper disclosures not being made before the deal with Ranbaxy. What seems to have transpired is that it's pretty much status quo. So what the court had earlier said, as Ashmit was alerting us, that you can negotiate, you can talk, but you can't sell. And there is a stay on that selling. And that seems to be continuing even right now after today's hearing. Mitesh, just coming back to the pockets of the market which are very active today. Okay, actually, let me toss that question, Prakash, to you first. We're talking about the Nifty Bank surging high and SBI in particular. Would you trade SBI at all?
Will I trade SBI? Yes, I would. Looks like the correction that we've seen from the levels of 280, 290 zones to around 265 zone looks to be getting over. Upside is continuing. I think it can climb to levels close to 275 and 280 back again. May take some time for that, but looks like it's a good buy here. Just have a stop somewhere below the levels of 265. Bank Nifty certainly is looking good to me. I think tomorrow we could have an update.
Okay, update on the Bank Nifty. Mr. Tulsian, we speak about RIL, but the other stock that you track from the Reliance Group is RIIL, Reliance Industrial Infra. And that stock as well today is up almost about 7% or so. Any thoughts on how retail investors should look at this?
See, Sonia, actually no fundamental reason could be attributed for rise of the RIIL. And in fact, if you take a call or if you plot the chart of this company, maybe for last 2 or 3 years, you have always seen it, moving up on just one theme. And if you ask any fundamental analyst, those who closely track it, it will be said that it will be on the Navi Mumbai land deal, or maybe the things which are seen moving up, or maybe that company is seen as a front, or maybe as the company which will be seen acquiring the stake of Jacob. That's the only explanation I can give you. But this explanation is being given for last couple of years, so I don't know how much relevant it is, because the people, our market is expecting this company to be the front, or the flagship company of the Mukesh Ambani, who will be acquiring the stake of Jacob, which they are holding into the Navi Mumbai SEZ and Maha Mumbai SEZ, plus the personal holding of the group or of the family getting transferred to this company. Because as of, if you see the financial performance of the company, maybe for last 10 years the financial performance has been stagnant, because they are just drawing the crude handling charges from Reliance Industries, and if you plot those 10 years performance in quarterly also, it is exactly identical on all front, maybe in terms of earning margin and all that. So this is the only story which I can attribute that on expectations of the real estate coming into this company as a business model, for the future growth and all that. Yeah.
Okay, let's just focus on Reliance, beg your pardon, on Bharat, the financial inclusion. Ticker has been alerting us about how the stock's slumping. And Varinder is alerting us that there is a conference call that's scheduled for later this evening. Now, let's see what the management is going to talk about. Is it going to be just routine on business operations? Will there be some kind of Q&A on the possibility of them selling stake, merger? Who knows? It's event-driven. Stock's reacting right now. Mayuresh, what do you think about the stock?
No, largely, again, I think the dynamics have been in favor of Bharat Financial. The kind of growth that they've exhibited in their loans business, the kind of advances that they've shown, the securitization that they've done. And again, I think the kind of asset quality that they've maintained, even the non-EP portfolio, is exceedingly well. Again, the bottom line greatly aided in terms of demand credit entitlement. But largely, again, I think would like to hear for the con call on what the management has to say. The stock has moved up, so fairly valued at this point of time, in our opinion. But again, I think from this space, what I really like is Equitas Holdings. If it corrects another 5-6%, I think it becomes a great opportunity, because the loan growth can be in excess of 35-36%, the earnings can be in excess of 35-36%. We still expect the company to post NIMs of 11.5%, ROEs in excess of 11.5%, ROAs of 2.8%, and at 1.8 price to book, I think seems very, very reasonably valued. So again, I think any decline onto those stock like Equitas, keenly watched out by long-term investors, but I think would wait for commentary on the Bharat Financial con call.
Okay, Rajesh, you like this space quite a bit, the NBFC space, and within that, some of the names that you've liked in the past are Bajaj Finance. But anything else where you recommend investors to put money?
No, we continue to like NBFC space, as you rightly said, but I think we are not that very positive on housing finance segment, except of course HDFC, who is the number one in the sector, and Bajaj Finance we continue to hold for our PMS clients. I think this entire space is becoming continue to probably do 25 to 30% kind of a loan book growth for the space, considering that the PSU banks are under significant constraint to grow the balance sheet. So the risk here is overall in terms of the asset quality, and that's where probably the players like Bajaj Finance are doing extremely well by controlling the risk. So we continue to like that name.
Okay, we just have 2 more minutes to go, so let's do one thing. Let's wind down the day's trading action. And what a strong day it's been for the market today. Absolutely. I mean, when we started off trade, we were on the back of consolidation last week, but today the bulls just took it away. The Sensex scaled past 29,000. The Nifty, although it is still facing some bit of resistance at the 9,000 mark, it conquered 89.50 today. The rally was purely led by heavyweights, and by the way, the cash market volumes are also decent at 19,000 crores today. Reliance was the stock of the day. It's hit a fresh 9-year high. Huge volumes traded on Reliance, and apart from that, the banks supported the index, up about 1%. So private banks like IndusInd, Yes Bank, etc. surged. Technology stocks underperformed, so you had some recovery in these names, but names like TCS were still down about 0.5% or so. But the positive is that India has been outperforming its global peers, and today it did just that. It outperformed both the Asian as well as the European markets, and the market is perhaps pricing in a big BJP win in the UP election. So that's what's keeping the shares very active. But even in the mid-cap space, there was a good run.
Oh, absolutely. Let's start with the newsmakers first, where the price action was driven by some headline or the other. So, for instance, Dredging Corporation talks of the government paring down its stake almost 13% as we're closing down the day on dredging. ARSS Infra, there was an order win announcement in the morning, 6% up on ARSS. We're talking about, of course, Voltas, the management telling us that AC sales will be up 15-20% over last year. That worked very well. That's almost a 5% move from the day's lows if you count it. A lot of traction on Bharat